The medical scanner made a grinding noise that meant Ryan would be spending his afternoon with his hands covered in grease instead of doing actual medicine. He swore under his breath and reached deeper into the machine's guts, try to find whatever belt had slipped loose this time. Outpost 17 got the oldest equipment, the stuff that Core Worlds threw away, and Ryan had become half mechanic just to keep his clinic running. The crash shook dust from the ceiling. Ryan pulled his arm out of the scanner and listened. Metal hitting metal sounded different from rock hitting rock. This was neither. This was something organic and heavy slamming into the ground hard enough to rattle the building's foundation that he ran outside. The courtyard between the clinic and the main colony buildings had a new feature. A dragon lay crumpled against the storage shed, one wing bent at an angle that made Ryan's stomach turn. Smoke rose from its scales, not from fire but from the heat of atmospheric re-entry. The creature had fallen from high altitude, maybe higher than high. Ryan had seen dragons before. Everyone at Outpost 17 had. They lived in the volcanic ranges 30 miles north, hunting the thermal vents and nesting in the cliff faces. But he had never seen one up close. The dragon was young, maybe adolescent by their standards, with dark red scales that should have gleamed but were now scuffed and dirty. Its chest heaved with rapid breaths. "Dr. Moss, get away from that thing." Kira stood in the clinic doorway, her hand on the emergency alarm. Ryan ignored her and walked closer. The dragon's eye tracked him, a vertical pupil in a field of gold. Intelligence looked back at him. Fear too. The dragon tried to push itself up and failed. Its good wings scraped against the ground. The broken one didn't move at all. "Stay back," the dragon said in standard, the words thick and harsh through a throat not made for human language. "I can still breathe fire. If you could breathe fire right now, you would have already done it," Ryan said. He knelt down 3 feet away, close enough to see but far enough to run if needed. "I'm a doctor. Let me look at your wing." Human doctors fix humans. The dragon's breathing was getting worse, shorter and faster. "Not dragons." "Well, you crashed in my courtyard, so you're my problem now." Ryan moved closer. The wing jutted out at completely the wrong angle, but that wasn't what made him freeze. Under the scales, something moved. Something that wasn't muscle or bone. The dragon saw his expression. "What? What is it?" Ryan didn't answer right away. He pulled out his portable scanner, the one he carried for field emergencies, and ran it over the wing joint. The readout made him check it twice. I can't move my wings," the dragon said, and the fear in its voice was naked now. "Either of them. The left is broken, but the right. I can't feel it. I can't make it move." Ryan looked at the scanner results again. Impossible. Completely impossible. But the image didn't lie. A neural parasite, the kind that came from Earth, the kind that lived in warm-blooded mammals, had somehow gotten into the dragon's nervous system. It was wrapped around the nerve cluster at the base of the wing, burrowing deeper with every passing minute. "You've got a parasite," Ryan said. "It's blocking the signals from your brain to your wings. Remove it." "It's not that simple. It's tangled in your nerves. If I just pull it out, I could sever the connection permanently. You'd never fly again." The dragon made a sound between a growl and a whimper. "Then I'm dead anyway." Footsteps rang across the courtyard. Director Haven arrived with 2 security officers, both carrying shock rifles. Haven was a thin man who treated the outpost like a personal kingdom and every regulation like sacred text. "Dr. Moss, step away from the creature," Haven said. "Security will remove it from colony grounds." "This dragon needs medical attention," Ryan said, not moving. "This dragon is not a colony resident. It has no authorization to be here. Remove it." The dragon tried again to rise and collapsed. Its breathing had become ragged. Shock was setting in. "Look at him," Ryan said. "He can't even stand. Moving him will kill him. That's not our concern." Haven gestured to the security officers. "Get it out of here." Ryan stood up and positioned himself between the officers and the dragon. He wasn't a large man and he wasn't a fighter, but he was stubborn. "No, I can have you arrested for obstruction. Arrest me then. But this dragon stays until I stabilize him." They stood in silence, Haven's face turning red. Finally, the director pointed at Ryan. 6 hours. If that thing isn't gone by then, I'm filing formal charges." He turned and walked away, the security officers following. Kira came out with a medical kit and a portable gurney, the kind they use for mining accidents. "You're insane," she said. "You know that, right?" "Probably." Ryan looked down at the dragon. "Can you tell me your name?" "Ash," the dragon said quietly. "My name is Ash." "Okay, Ash. I'm Ryan. We're going to move you inside, and then I'm going to figure out how to get that parasite out of you without turning you into a permanent ground dweller." "Sound good?" "Sounds impossible." Ryan smiled. "Yeah, well, humans are pretty good at impossible." They got Ash onto the gurney using a cargo loader and 3 hours of careful maneuvering. By the time they had him on the reinforced surgical table, Ash had passed out from the pain. Ryan stood looking at 400 pounds of unconscious dragon and wondered what he had just committed himself to. Kira ran a full scan, while Ryan pulled up every file the colony database had on dragon physiology. There wasn't much. Dragons didn't share their biology with humans, and humans hadn't pushed the issue. "The parasite is growing," Kira said, pointing at the scan. "It's already 20% larger than when you first scanned him." Ryan pulled up the medical protocols for parasite removal in humans. None of it would work on a dragon. Different blood chemistry, different nerve structure, different everything. He would be operating blind on a species he barely understood with tools designed for a completely different biology. "We should call for a specialist," Kira said. "Nearest xenobiology specialist is 3 weeks away. Ash doesn't have 3 days. Then what do we do?" Ryan looked at the unconscious dragon, at the scan showing the parasite burrowing deeper, at the 6 hours Haven had given him. He thought about medical school, about the oath he took, about the words that said nothing about species or authorization or impossibility. "We improvise," he said. Ash woke to straps across his chest and the smell of chemicals. He thrashed once before pain shot through his entire body and forced him still. The room was white and cold and raw. Metal tables, beeping machines, lights too bright. A human den. "Easy," a voice said. The human from before, the one called Ryan, stepped into view. "You're safe. You're in my medical facility." "I'm tied down," Ash said, testing the restraints. They were strong, reinforced somehow. "This is not safety. You're tied down because you weigh 400 pounds, and I can't have you thrashing around and hurting yourself more." Ryan held up a small device showing a picture of Ash's insides. "Look, see this dark mass here? That's the parasite. It's wrapped around the main nerve bundle that controls your wing movement." Ash stared at the image. Dragons didn't cut each other open to heal. Dragons either recovered or they didn't. The strong lived. The weak died. It was simple. This human medicine was not simple. "Can you remove it?" Ash asked. "Yes, but there's risk. The parasite has merged with your nerve tissue. If I'm not careful, I could damage the nerves permanently. You might never regain full control of your wings, even if the surgery succeeds. And if you do nothing, the parasite keeps growing. In a few days, it will block all nerve function to your wings. Then it will move to your spine. Then you die." Ash closed his eyes. Either way, he would never fly again. A dragon who could not fly was already dead. "Do it. Try." The door burst open. 5 dragons filled the medical bay, their bulk making the room feel tiny. Elder Sorrow led them, ancient scales gone gray, one eye clouded with age. The elder looked at Ash, strapped to the human table, and made a sound of deep sorrow. "Hatchling," Elder Sorrow said in the dragon tongue. "What have they done to you?" "Nothing yet, Elder. I asked them to help." "Help." The word dripped with disgust. Elder Sorrow turned to Ryan. "Human, you will release him." Ryan didn't move. "He is a parasite. Without treatment, he dies. Then he dies with honor, in the sky, not on a human cutting table." Elder Sorrow moved closer. "We do not cut our own. We do not allow others to cut us. This is our way." "Your way will kill him," Ryan said. "All things die. Better to die whole than live broken." Ash felt something crack inside his chest. "Die whole. Die in the sky. Die with honor." All his life, these words had meant everything. Now, they meant he would never feel wind under his wings again. Never hunt the thermal currents. Never dance in the high atmosphere where the air was thin and cold and perfect. I don't want to die, Ash said quietly. The other dragons went silent. Elder Sorrow turned to look at him. I want to fly again, Ash continued. If the human can give me even a chance, I want to take it. This is not our way. Then maybe our way is wrong. One of the younger dragons hissed. Another backed toward the door. You didn't question the way. You didn't challenge tradition. But Ash had felt his wings fail to respond, had felt the ground rushing up with no way to stop it, and he knew that tradition couldn't help him now. Elder Sorrow studied him for a long time. If you do this, the elder said, you do it alone. The clan will not claim a dragon who has been cut by human hands. The words hit harder than the fall had. Ash looked at the other dragons, saw them avoid his gaze. Exile. They would exile him whether he lived or died. I understand, Ash said. The dragons left without another word. The door closed behind them, and the room felt even colder than before. Ryan stood silent for a moment, then began preparing instruments. For what it's worth, he said, I think you made the right choice. You don't understand what I just lost. No, I don't. But I understand what you're trying to keep. Director Haven arrived an hour later with a datapad full of regulations. He spent 20 minutes explaining why performing xenobiological surgery without proper certification was illegal. Ryan spent 20 seconds telling him where to file his complaints. Haven left threatening legal action. Kira helped Ryan set up the surgical field. They had no anesthetics designed for dragons, so Ryan had to calculate dosages based on body mass and hope dragon metabolism was close enough to Earth reptiles. They had no surgical protocols for dragon anatomy. They had nothing but human tools and human knowledge in a species they barely understood. If this goes wrong, Kira said, they'll shut down the whole clinic. If this goes wrong, a kid dies, Ryan said. I can live with losing my clinic. I can't live with not trying. He looked at Ash. Last chance to back out. Once I start, there's no stopping. Ash met his eyes. Do it. The anesthetic took effect slowly. Ryan watched Ash's vital signs, 2 hearts beating in syncopated rhythm, body temperature high enough to trigger heat warnings on the monitors. When Ash's breathing finally deepened into unconsciousness, Ryan made the first cut. Dragon scales were harder than he expected. He had to use a plasma scalpel set to maximum. Blood welled up, darker than human blood, almost purple. The chemical composition was different enough that the standard coagulants didn't work right. Kira had to suction constantly. Ryan worked deeper past the muscle layers, past the bone struts that supported the wing. The nerve bundle appeared on his screen, a thick cord of bioelectrical tissue. The parasite had wrapped around it like a strangling vine, its body already fused with dragon nerves at 3 contact points. This is worse than the scans showed, Kira said. Ryan didn't answer. He focused on the parasite, trying to find where it ended and dragon tissue began. His hands were steady, but his heart was racing. One wrong cut, and Ash would never fly. One slip, and the kid would wake up paralyzed. He worked for 2 hours, carefully separating the parasite from nerve tissue 1 microscopic layer at a time. Sweat dripped down his back. His eyes ached from staring at the magnified display. Then Ash's second heart stopped. The monitor screamed in alarm. Kira grabbed the defibrillator, but Ryan held up his hand. Wait, he said. Dragons have 2 hearts. Losing one isn't fatal if the other keeps going. Are you sure? Ryan wasn't sure of anything anymore. But the primary heart kept beating strong, and Ash's breathing continued. He went back to work, knowing he was in completely unknown territory now, hoping that dragon biology was resilient enough to survive what he was doing 0.4 hours in a surgery. He finally extracted the parasite. It was 6 inches long, its tendrils soaked in dragon blood. Ryan dropped it in a specimen container and looked at the nerve bundle. Damaged, scarred, but intact. Close him up, Ryan said. They worked in silence, sealing tissue layers, applying synthetic skin over the scales they had removed. When they finally stepped back, Ash lay unconscious but stable on the table. Now what? Kira asked. Now we wait, Ryan said, and hope. Ash opened his eyes to a gray ceiling and the steady beep of machines. His body felt heavy, like he had been filled with stone. The chemical smell was stronger now. He tried to remember where he was and why everything hurt. Then he remembered. The human. The surgery. The choice that he tried to move his wings. Nothing happened that he tried again, focusing every bit of will on the muscles that should spread his wings, should catch the air, should lift him into the sky. His shoulders twitched. His back muscles tensed. But his wings remained flat against the table, dead weight, useless. Ryan appeared in his field of vision. You're awake. That's good. How do you feel? My wings, Ash said. His voice came out rough. I can't move my wings. The surgery was successful. I removed the parasite and most of the eggs it had laid in the tissue. Then why can't I move? Ryan pulled up a chair. He looked tired, like he hadn't slept. The parasite damaged your nerves. Not permanently, I don't think, but enough that the signals from your brain aren't getting through yet. You need time to heal. How much time? I don't know. I've never operated on a dragon before. Could be days. Could be weeks. Weeks. Ash stared at the ceiling. Weeks of being grounded. Weeks of being helpless. Dragons didn't wait weeks. Dragons didn't heal slowly. They recovered fast or they died. You said you could save me, Ash said quietly. I said I would try. You failed. Ryan was quiet for a moment. Maybe. Or maybe this is what success looks like, and you just need to give it time. Ash turned his head away. Time. The human spoke of time like there was plenty of it. But every moment Ash spent on the ground was a moment he wasn't in the air. Every day he couldn't fly was a day he became less of what he was supposed to be. The days blurred together. Ryan checked on him constantly, running scans, adjusting medications, talking about nerve regeneration and cellular repair. Ash stopped listening. He lay on the table and stared at the ceiling and felt his identity slip away. On the third day, Kira brought him food. Raw meat from the colony's protein vats. Nothing like real prey, but edible. Ash ate without tasting it. You should try moving around, she said. Ryan says it might help. Why? Because lying here feeling sorry for yourself definitely won't help. Ash looked at her. Humans were strange creatures, so small and breakable, yet they spoke without fear. I don't feel sorry for myself. I feel nothing. That's worse. She left him alone after that. Ash tried to sleep, but dreams of flying woke him constantly. In the dreams, he soared through volcanic thermals, dove through cloud layers, raced with his clutch mates across the mountain peaks. He woke each time to the gray ceiling and the dead weight of wings that wouldn't move. On the fifth night, Ryan didn't go home. He sat at his desk running simulations and reading medical texts until Kira found him passed out over his keyboard. She shook him awake. Go sleep in an actual bed, she said. I'm missing something, Ryan muttered. There has to be a way to speed up the nerve regeneration. You can't think if you're exhausted. Ryan looked at her with red eyes. He trusted me. He gave up everything, his clan, his honor, everything because he believed I could fix him. And I can't. You don't know that yet. It's been 5 days, and he still can't even twitch his wings. What if the damage is permanent? What if I destroyed his life trying to save it? Kira didn't have an answer for that. She made him drink something caffeinated and went to check on Ash. The dragon was awake, staring at nothing. Ryan is trying to find a way to help you, she said. Tell him to stop. It's over. It's not over until you're dead. I am dead. A dragon who can't fly isn't a dragon. Kira sat down. You know what I think? I think that's stupid. You're still breathing, still thinking, still here. That's not dead. You don't understand. No, I don't. But I understand that Ryan hasn't slept in 2 days because he's trying to help you. The least you could do is not give up before he does. She left before Ash could respond. The next morning, Elder Sorrow returned. The old dragon stood in the doorway, too large to fit comfortably inside. I have come to offer you a choice, Elder Sorrow said. You may return to the clan. We will carry you to the sacred peak. You will die in the sky, as a dragon should. Ash said nothing. Or you can stay here with the humans and live as something that is no longer dragon. The choice is yours. If I return, I die. Yes. And if I stay, Elder Sorrow looked at him with the one good eye. Then you become something new, perhaps something better, perhaps something worse. But you will no longer be one of us. Ash thought about the sacred peak, about the final flight every dragon took when they knew death was coming. He thought about the wind one last time, about falling into the volcanic heat with wings spread wide. It would be beautiful. It would be honorable. It would be easy. Then he thought about Ryan, who hadn't slept in days trying to find answers. About Kira, who told him not to give up. About the humans who kept trying even when things seemed impossible. "I'll stay," Ash said. Elder Sorrow nodded slowly. "Then this is goodbye, hatchling. May you find whatever it is you're searching for." The old dragon left. Ash listened to the heavy footsteps fade away and knew he had just severed the last connection to everything he had been. Ryan found him an hour later, still staring at the ceiling. "I think I have an idea," Ryan said. "It's from human medicine. When people damage their nerves, sometimes we can stimulate regrowth using electrical impulses and physical therapy. Physical therapy, exercises, movements designed to retrain the neural pathways." Ash almost laughed. "I'm a dragon. We don't do exercises." "Yeah, well, dragons also don't do surgery, and look how that turned out." Ryan pulled up a chair. "I'm not saying it will work. I'm saying it's worth trying. Unless you'd rather just lie here." Ash looked at him. This small human who had cut him open, who had taken away his old life without any promise of a new one, who still believed that broken things could be fixed. "What do I have to do?" Ash asked. Ryan smiled. "First, we get you off this table." Getting Ash off the surgical table took 3 hours and 2 broken pieces of equipment. Dragons were not designed for human furniture. They moved him to a reinforced cargo bay that Ryan had converted into a recovery room, with heating lamps positioned to match the volcanic warmth Ash was used to. The electrical nerve stimulation started the next day. Ryan attached electrode pads to the base of Ash's wings and sent small pulses of electricity through the damaged tissue. It felt like being stung by 1,000 insects at once. "This is helping?" Ash asked through gritted teeth. "In theory, it's encouraging your nerves to rebuild the pathways. In practice, I have no idea if dragon nervous systems work the same way as human ones." "That's reassuring." They ran the stimulation for an hour twice a day. After a week, Ash could feel a tingling sensation in his wing tips. After 2 weeks, he managed to make his right wing twitch 3 inches. It was pathetic, barely movement at all, but it was something. The physical therapy was worse. Ryan designed exercises based on human rehabilitation protocols, scaled up for dragon anatomy. Ash had to extend his wings as far as possible, hold them in position, then slowly fold them back. Over and over. It was exhausting and humiliating. "Hatchlings do this," Ash said after the first session left him panting. "Baby dragons learning to fly." "Yes," Ryan said, "and now you're relearning. There's no shame in it. You don't understand shame." Ryan looked at him. "When I was in medical school, I failed my first surgery practical. I cut the wrong artery and my patient died. It was a simulation, but I still failed. I had to take the entire course over while my classmates moved ahead. You know what I learned?" "What?" "That starting over doesn't mean you're weak. It means you're still trying." Ash wanted to argue, but he was too tired. He folded his wings, felt them respond sluggishly to his thoughts, and tried again. Kira built specialized equipment. Resistance bands made from cargo straps. Weight systems using mining equipment. A frame that supported Ash's body while allowing his wings to move freely. The cargo bay started looking less like storage and more like a strange gym. Other dragons began appearing at the colony's perimeter. They didn't come close, but Ash could see them on the cliff faces, watching. Word had spread that one of their own was learning to fly again like a hatchling. Some watched with curiosity. Others watched with disgust. "They think I'm pathetic," Ash said. Ryan adjusted the resistance on the wing frame. "They think you're doing something they've never seen before. That scares them. It should. It's not natural. Neither is surgery. Neither is living after you should have died. But here you are." Week 3 brought the first real progress. Ash managed to extend both wings to full span and hold them there for 30 seconds. His muscles screamed in protest, but he did it. Ryan actually cheered. Week 4, Ash broke a resistance band by pulling too hard. Kira had to design stronger ones. Week 5, Director having tried again to shut down the operation. The Dragon Clan had sent him a formal complaint about the corruption of natural dragon culture. Having arrived with security and eviction notices that he didn't expect to find 3 dragons waiting outside the clinic. They were young, barely older than Ash, and they all had old injuries. One had a twisted leg that never healed right. Another had a wing joint that didn't extend fully. The third had scars across his chest from a territorial fight gone wrong. "We want the human to fix us," one said. Haven went pale. "This is completely unauthorized. So file a complaint," Ryan said. "But these dragons are getting treatment." The director left muttering about regulations and proper channels. He didn't come back. Ryan examined the 3 new dragons and felt his stomach sink. These weren't fresh injuries. These were old, badly healed, the kind of damage that human medicine could maybe improve, but probably not fix completely. Still, he took detailed scans and promised to develop treatment plans. Ash watched the new dragons with mixed feelings. Part of him was glad he wasn't alone anymore. Part of him hated seeing others go through what he had gone through. "Why did you come?" he asked one of them during a shared therapy session. "Because you're still alive," the dragon said simply. "And you're trying to fly again. That's more than the clan offers." By week 8, Ash could fully extend and retract his wings on command. The movements were still slower than they should be, still required conscious effort instead of instinct, but they worked. Ryan started talking about the next phase. "Flight training," he said. Ash felt his heart rate spike. "I'm not ready. Your wings are responding. Your muscle strength is back to about 70%. You're as ready as you're going to get without actually trying. 70% isn't enough. It's enough to glide. We'll start small." They built a launch platform on the cliff behind the colony. Just a reinforced ledge 10 feet above a deep sand pile. Ryan explained the plan. Ash would spread his wings, step off, and try to glide to the landing zone. If his wings failed, the sand would cushion the fall. Ash stood on the platform and looked down. 10 feet. It might as well have been 10,000. "I can't do this," he said. "Yes, you can. What if I fall? Then you fall into sand, and we try again tomorrow." Ryan stood beside him. "Ash, every human who has ever learned to walk again after a serious injury has felt exactly what you're feeling right now. The fear that their body won't do what they tell it to do. The terror of trusting damaged parts to work. How do they get past it? They jump." Ash spread his wings. They trembled, partly from muscle fatigue, partly from fear. He had been so confident before the accident. His wings had just worked, responding to thought as naturally as breathing. Now, every movement required focus, and he stepped off the platform. For one horrible second, he dropped straight down. His wings remained flat, frozen by panic. The sand rushed up, then instinct overrode fear. His wings snapped open, caught the air, and his fall became a glide. He hit the sand at an angle, tumbling but not crashing. Not flying, but not falling either. Ryan was beside him immediately. "You did it. That was a glide." Ash lay in the sand, breathing hard. "That was terrifying." "I know. Want to try again?" Ash looked up at the platform, at the sky beyond it, at the impossible distance between where he was and where he wanted to be. "Yes," he said. The gliding practice became routine. Every morning, Ash climbed to the platform. Every morning, he stepped off and tried to stay airborne a little longer. The first day, he managed 3 seconds. By the end of the week, he could glide for almost 30 seconds before landing. He wasn't flying. Flying meant gaining altitude, meant controlling direction, meant trusting his wings to do more than just slow his fall. But it was progress. The other injured dragons watched his practice sessions. They had started their own rehabilitation programs with Ryan and Kira, working through pain and frustration and exercises that felt beneath their dignity. Ash heard them complaining during therapy, heard them questioning whether this human medicine was worth the humiliation. Then they watched him glide, and they stopped complaining. "How do you do it?" one asked after a particularly good landing. "How do you trust your wings again?" Ash didn't have a good answer. "I don't trust them, but I jump anyway." More dragons started appearing at the colony. Some came for treatment. Others came just to watch. The clan elders sent warnings that traditional ways were being abandoned, but the young dragons didn't seem to care. They saw Ash gliding and saw possibility. Ryan started looking exhausted again. Between treating dragons and maintaining the regular colony medical services, he was working 16-hour days. Kira tried to make him rest, but he kept pushing. "We need more equipment," he said one evening, staring at scan results for a dragon with a fractured wing bone that had healed crooked. "And more space. And honestly, we need someone who actually knows what they're doing with dragon biology." "You're doing fine," Kira said. "I am Gisson. These dragons are trusting me with their lives, and I'm making it up as I go. Welcome to Frontier Medicine." Director haven't appeared less frequently, but when he did, he brought complaints. The dragons were using too much power for the heating lamps. The cargo bay conversion violated building codes. The whole operation was a liability nightmare. Ryan filed the complaints in a drawer and kept working. Week 10 brought the first real setback. Ash was practicing from a higher platform, trying to extend his glide time, when his left wing cramped mid-air. He tumbled into the sand hard enough to crack 2 scales and bruise his shoulder. Ryan checked him over while Ash tried not to show how scared he had been. For just a moment, falling through the air with useless wings, he had been back in the original accident. Helpless, plummeting, broken. "The muscles are still rebuilding," Ryan said. "Cramps are normal." "That didn't feel normal." "I know, but it's part of the process." Ash didn't practice the next day, or the day after. He told himself he was letting the bruises heal, but really, he was afraid. Afraid that his wings would fail again. Afraid that all this progress was temporary. Afraid that he would never truly fly. Kira found him sitting in the cargo bay, staring at the resistance equipment. "You're scared," she said. "I'm not scared. I'm being cautious." "You're terrified. I can see it." She sat down next to him. "You know what Ryan told me once? He said the bravest patients aren't the ones who aren't afraid. They're the ones who are afraid and do it anyway." "He talks too much." "Yeah, he does. But he's not wrong." That evening, Elder Sorrow returned. The old dragon looked even older than before, scales dulled with age, movements slow and careful. "I have watched your progress," Elder Sorrow said. "The clan has watched. Come and tell me I'm still exiled." Ash asked. "No, I have come to ask you a question." The elder settled onto the ground with a heavy sigh. 50 years ago, a human saved a dragon hatchling from drowning. The human breathed air into the hatchling's lungs for many minutes until it lived again. We did not understand. Dragons do not breathe for each other. We thought it was impossible. I've heard the story, but have you understood it? That human did something we could not do, not because they were stronger or smarter, but because they refused to accept that death was inevitable. They saw a problem and invented a solution we never imagined. Ash waited. "You are doing the same thing," Elder Sorrow continued. "You are solving a problem we thought had no solution. Dragons who are broken stay broken. This is what we believed. But you are proving us wrong. I'm not healed yet." "No, but you are healing. And that is something new." The elder looked at him with the one good eye. "The clan elders argue about what you represent. Some say you are abandoning dragon nature. I say you are expanding it. What does that mean?" "It means the exile is lifted. It means you may return to the clan, whether you fly again or not. It means we were wrong to cast you out for choosing to live." The words hit harder than Ash expected. He had spent weeks telling himself he didn't care about the clan, that he had moved beyond their judgment. But hearing that he could return, that they acknowledged their mistake, made something tight in his chest loosen. "Thank you," Ash said quietly. Elder Sorrow stood to leave, then paused. "The ceremonial cliff, where young dragons take their first true flight. I have reserved it for you, for when you are ready. I might never be ready, perhaps, but the cliff will wait." After the elder left, Ash sat in silence. The ceremonial cliff. Every dragon remembered their first flight from that sacred place, remembered the moment when gliding became true flight, when they stopped falling and started soaring. He thought about being up there again, thought about the jump, thought about trusting damaged wings and rebuilt nerves to do what they had once done naturally. Then he thought about Ryan, who tried impossible surgeries because someone had to. About Kira, who built equipment for a species she barely understood. about the young dragons who came for treatment because they saw him trying, about humans who were so fragile they had to be stubborn just to survive. Ash stood up and walked to the practice platform. His wings still ached. His shoulder was still bruised. He was still afraid that he jumped anyway. This time, when his wings caught the air, he didn't just glide. He adjusted his angle, shifted his weight, and felt the beginning of real control. Not perfect, not natural, but real. Ryan hooped from the ground. That was 15 seconds of actual controlled flight. Ash landed and felt something like hope. "I want to try the ceremonial cliff," he said. Ryan's expression turned serious. "Are you sure?" "No, but I'm going to do it anyway." That's the spirit. The ceremonial cliff rose 300 feet above the volcanic valleys, a sheer face of black stone that had witnessed 10,000 first flights. Every dragon in the clan gathered below, filling the canyon with scales and wings and ancient tradition. They had come to watch Ash either fly or die. There was no middle ground here. No sand pile to catch a fall. No practice platform with safety measures. Just stone and sky and the 300-foot drop between them. Ash stood at the edge and tried not to shake. Ryan climbed up beside him, breathing hard from the ascent. Humans weren't made for vertical climbs, but he had insisted on being there. Kira waited below with medical equipment, just in case. "You don't have to do this," Ryan said. "Not today. Not ever, if you don't want to." "Yes, I do." Ash looked down at the gathered clan. "They need to see this. One way or another. See what? That broken things can be fixed. That their way isn't the only way." Ash spread his wings experimentally. They trembled, but they responded. Months of therapy and practice and stubborn human medicine had brought him to this moment. That sometimes you need to be weak before you can be strong again. Elder Sorrow's voice echoed up from below. "When you are ready, hatchling. Hatchling." They were calling him hatchling again, not exile. That meant something. Ash looked at Ryan. "Thank you for not giving up. Thank you for letting me try." They stood together for a moment, human and dragon, at the edge of impossible. Then Ryan climbed back down, leaving Ash alone with the wind and the waiting. Ash closed his eyes and felt the air currents. This was different from the practice platform. The volcanic thermals rose from the valley floor, hot and turbulent, the same currents he had ridden 1,000 times before the accident. His body remembered them. His wings remembered them. But his mind remembered falling to... He opened his eyes and looked at the sky. Endless blue, scattered clouds, the high atmosphere where the air was thin and cold and perfect. Everything he had lost, everything he was trying to reclaim, the fear tried to freeze him, try to keep him safe on solid ground where nothing could hurt him. But safety meant never flying again. Safety meant living half a life. Ash stepped off the cliff. The first second was pure terror. His wings stayed folded, his body tumbled, and the ground rushed up exactly like it had the day of the accident. Every instinct screamed that this was wrong, that he was dying, that his broken wings would never save him. Then training overrode panic. His wings snapped open. The damaged nerves fired. The rebuilt muscles engaged. He caught the thermal updraft and felt it lift him, felt 300 feet of falling reverse and a rising, felt the impossible become real that he was flying. Not gliding, not falling with style, actually flying, climbing on the volcanic heat, banking into a turn, feeling the wind respond to his wing adjustments. It wasn't perfect. His left wing was still weaker, still required conscious effort to control. His stamina was nothing like before, but he was airborne and in control and alive. The dragons below made a sound Ash had never heard. Not celebration exactly. Something deeper. Recognition that the world had just changed in a way they didn't fully understand yet. Ash climbed higher, testing his limits. His wings ached. His muscles burned. But they worked. They actually worked. He saw Orion below, jumping and cheering like a maniac. Saw Kira beside him, crying. Saw the other injured dragons watching with something like hope in their eyes. Saw Elder Sorrow bow. Ash rode the thermals for 10 minutes before fatigue forced him down. He landed rough, stumbling on the rocky ground, but he landed. Under his own power. After his own flight, the clan surrounded him immediately, dozens of dragons pressing close, touching his wings, asking questions, demanding to know how it felt. Ash tried to answer, but couldn't find words. Flying had always been natural before, unremarkable as breathing. Now it was a gift he had fought for and earned and would never take for granted again. Elder Sorrow pushed through the crowd. "You have done something impossible," the old dragon said. "You have given us a gift we did not know to ask for." "What gift?" "Hope that broken things can be whole again." Over the next weeks, more dragons came to the colony seeking treatment. Old injuries that had ended flying careers. Chronic pain that had been endured because nothing could be done. Dragons who had accepted being broken because their culture offered no alternative. Ryan had to expand the clinic, then expand it again. Kira trained 2 more human medics in dragon anatomy. They developed new protocols, new equipment, new understanding. The colony that had once barely tolerated dragons became a center for cross-species medicine. Director Haven tried one last time to shut it down. He arrived with a formal order and found 30 dragons blocking the clinic entrance. "Move along," Haven said. "This is human property." Elder Sorrow stepped forward. "This is a place of healing. You will not close it. I have the authority. We have numbers." Elder Sorrow gestured to the gathered dragons. "Test your authority if you wish." Haven looked at 30 dragons who had been grounded and now flew again. 30 warriors who had been broken and now were whole, and made a wise decision. He left and didn't come back. Ash continued his rehabilitation, building strength and endurance. He would never be as fast as before. His left wing would always require extra focus. But he flew every day, and every day it got a little easier. One morning, he found Ryan sitting outside the clinic, watching the sunrise. "Can't sleep?" Ash asked. "Just thinking," Ryan said. "6 months ago, you crashed in my courtyard. I thought I was just trying to save one dragon. And now you have 30 patients. And now I have proof that impossible just means nobody's tried hard enough yet." Ryan looked up at him. "How do you feel?" Ash spread his wings, felt them respond smoothly, felt the strength in muscles that had been rebuilt through months of stubborn effort. "I feel like flying," he said. He launched into the morning air, Ryan watching from below. The sky opened up before him, endless and perfect and possible again. His wings weren't perfect. His body wasn't what it was. But he was whole in a new way, rebuilt not just by medicine, but by the refusal to accept that broken meant finished. By human stubbornness that looked at impossible and said, "Not good enough." Ash climbed into the high atmosphere and felt the cold, thin air on his scales. Below him, other dragons launched from the cliff faces, following his path. Dragons who had been grounded and now flew. Dragons who had given up and now tried. Dragons who had learned that sometimes the strongest thing you can do is admit you're broken and ask for help. Ash spread his wings wide and soared, and the impossible became just another word for what humans did before breakfast.